Hello everybody and welcome to another Transformers third party review. In today's video I'm taking a look at some pre-production samples of RAGER and THORNER. Is it RAGER? RAGER or RAGER? And THORNER, aka kind of masterpiece legends. I guess this is Grimlock and Snarl. Now these are pre-production samples, so the tolerances and colours may vary somewhat from the final release. And they are meant to come with weapons. I didn't get any weapons with mine. They come with guns and they come with swords. I don't know where mine went, but I didn't get any. But I did get a couple of accessories for Grimlock. I got the Me King crown, and I also got his intelligence helmet. This is what he pops on his head, isn't it? When he transfers all of that intelligence of his into Computron. So maybe, just maybe, they're going to be giving us a Computron as well. That would be nice. Now, let's just see if we can stick this on Grimlock's head. There are some cut grooves in there, so it should only fit on in a specific manner. I've got to be very careful as well, because it is uber sharp. But there we go. I'm not a fan of the whole king thing, but I mean, that looks pretty cool. These are by far my favourite Dinobots. I actually stopped collecting this scale. I got some of the Mech Fan toys and stuff like that, and they were okay. Obviously, they're bootlegs of the DX9 and bootlegs of the iFactory stuff. But I don't know, it didn't have that wow factor like the originals did. And I actually sold my other 3 Dinobots. I sold those a while back when I decided to stop collecting these. Since then I sold a lot of my collection, and I've decided these legends may be the way forward to fill out those gaps and do it on a very itty bitty tiny scale. I live in a very small 2-bedroom bungalow, and I don't have a lot of display room, as you probably saw from my last video, which was a display video. So what room I have to make use of, and I've decided that maybe I'll collect the Masterpiece and I'll collect the Legends sizes as well. And DX9 have absolutely nailed the Dinobots. So if anybody has the other 3 they'd like to sell me, then just leave a comment in the comment section below. Let's take a look at Me King Grimlock first. This is by far the best version of Grimlock I have had. I'm looking forward to the Gigapower Grimlock when we eventually get him. And Fatten's Toys was okay. I've got the KO Reximus Prime, which is alright. But this is the only one with those animation accurate colours. Got that really bold, bright yellow. And look at that face sculpt on a figure this big. That's ruddy awesome. I don't know how they managed to get these things scaled down, whether they kind of draw them big and then kind of scale them down before they print them. I don't know how it works, but that is incredible. He's got a very nice backpack section. It's nice, clean and tidy, and all around he's just a very good looking Grimlock. Articulation wise, if you haven't ever seen these, heads can go left and right. Outwards on the shoulder, we can go all the way around. We have an upper bicep rotation. We do get a bend at the elbow, and as you can see there, I pushed the fist in. We actually get a fist slide. I've got to admit, it doesn't really want to stay locked in as well as I would like, but it still kind of locks in. And we have some rotation on the waist. It's basically just the chest section that moves left and right because it is attached to this back piece here. And whilst we've got this chest piece attached, we do only get slight movement left and right. The legs can come all the way forwards, all the way backwards, all the way out to the side. We have an upper thigh rotation. We get a nice deep bend at the knee, and we get a gorgeous ankle pivot. I love that they've included the extra piece of sculpt there, so it looks very natural when we put him in that wide stance. And as far as stability goes, I think Grimlock nails it. Now, Snarl is a good figure. He's definitely not my favourites of the 5. Grimlock definitely takes that mantle. Just this kind of gap at the back here, which I don't like. It probably could have been filled up, possibly. I'm not really sure how they would have done that. But I do love the smoked translucent chest section here. The face sculpt isn't bad. At the end of the day, it's definitely recognisable as Snarl. Very nice mouth and nose on there. Again, the head does just rotate left and right. We do actually get a little bit of up and down motion on there, but that is due to the transformation. Again, with the shoulders, they come out. They go forwards and backwards. We do get a bend at the elbow and an upper bicep rotation, and as you can see, the wrist does pivot up and down. Again, that's due to the transformation. We do get a waist rotation. This time it is a full rotation, and the legs can come this far forwards, this far back, this far out to the side. We get a ball joint in the thigh, so we get some movement up there. We also get an upper thigh rotation. We do get a bend at the knee, and pretty much like every Snarl in history, we get this sideways knee action. We don't really get anything on the feet. It is pretty much a static unit, but we do get a pivot. He says it's incredibly stiff. There we go. A pivot on the toe, so it gives the illusion of a wide stance. I mean, but that's definitely nowhere near as dignified as Grimlock's. Here we have them alongside some Sharkticons and Scamper. Just to give you an idea of how well they scale. You know, that's pretty darn good. In fact, I would go as far as saying that's spot on. Because he's one of my new favourite toys, here he is with Mass Goldbug. Now, obviously, it is a completely different scale, but I just wanted to show him off because he's an awesome looking figure. And for those of you that which require an exact size, we're looking around 4.5 to 5 inches. That's about 12 to 13 centimeters. So that's a little bit below average, but nothing to be ashamed of. Now, to get these transformed up, it's not exactly rocket science. I didn't receive any instructions, so my method may differ slightly to that of the official method, but I'll get there in the end. First port of action is to pull this section at the back over. We then want to turn his head around and then rotate it inwards. And there's this little slot here, and make sure once he gets to this piece, just push just beyond that. There's no resistance, and you're going to need that to be tucked in. We have these shoulder pad sections. We want to bring those up and up on both sides and just move these arms down and out of the way for now. Open up this red section on the back. Please be very careful because this is incredibly sharp. Rotate it downwards. As we're going to pull these in, you want to grab this red piece, slide it inwards, and then rotate it up. So as we bring this around, it's going to fill in the gap at the back and close that piece off. And then you can just bring the two pieces of the tails together and close that off. The head is pretty much where we would expect it to be. Untab the legs, pull the head outwards, bring the legs to the outer section. Now, there is actually an option here. Some of you like to have the dino feet on the outside of the robot. Now, that is an option, but they don't really fold away that nicely. But that is definitely an option. It still closes up exactly the same. So if you choose to have those out like that, then so be it. You're more than welcome to. But anyway, right, we need those out. We need to bring this down. Now that we're at this point, because we pushed the head inwards, it now gives us enough room to then collapse this part of the torso backwards. This piece can now rest fully down on the chest section. The waist needs to be rotated around, and you need to rotate the thigh joints, and they are going to hinge backwards on themselves. And there's this tab here, and the slot is just going to line up, and he says just like magic that tabs in, and it's beautifully smooth. Just rock this back leg backwards, and we want to bring the foot down. So the fist is going to collapse away, and that's just going to slide inwards like that. And the front leg, just give it a little bend like this. And then we can just tab the two halves together there, and the nice big chunky tab on top. There we go, very satisfying click. Make sure that the underside is tabbed in, and there we go. There we have one very nice looking cartoon accurate Snarl. Next up is the mighty Grimlock. We have this tab behind his head. I always struggle to get these tabs up, so I generally just turn the head, and it gives you enough room to put a screwdriver in there. You now need to push the head backwards. Again, I keep my head turned because there's a nice little tab on the back here to grab a hold of. We can then push this piece back downwards. The legs can for now just be brought down. This piece here, the chest, actually hooks over just inside here. You need to push down on the head and just lift the chest out of this piece, and that comes out. We can now rotate the chest all the way around like so, and bring that backwards, bringing the legs down, and slide that on like this. Straighten up the legs, make sure the feet are compressed inwards. His torso is on a hinge. You need to rock the hinge backwards so that the tail fin section of these wings sits just above the bum. That allows the chest sections to close off just above that yellow piece. Then close and tab on the head. Come around to the robot legs. Open up the back of the robot legs. You want to rotate them at the thighs, and then rotate the leg inwards. There's a hole on the underside of this tail piece and a hole on that torso. That's just going to tab inwards and close that off, and do that with both sides. And then line everything up and just tab this all in together. And there we have the king himself. I hate calling him the king, but my goodness, that looks incredible, doesn't it? That is definitely the best version of Grimlock I own, without a shadow of a doubt. And bring in the little helmet. Doesn't fit on there perfectly. It just kind of stays on. Friction, yeah, it kind of keeps it on. There we go. Oh, this is so good. I can't even begin to tell you how happy I am. I nearly bought those really big chunky vinyls that you used to be able to get. They've done a Devastator, and then they've done, I believe it was Slag and Grimlock. I nearly bought those because they're very animation accurate, but they don't really scale as well with the Masterpiece collection as I would have liked. But these have it down to a T. We can bring the head up. We can have him in that kind of running pose. We can have him sat down like this. Cop, you tell Grimlock's story. Oh my god, that was terrible. But you get the idea. There's a lot of fun to be had. Articulation wise, we have legs that are on a pivot and they do come out to the side on a hinge. We do bend at the knee. The toes themselves are static. The arms are on this ball joint but don't have a bend at the elbow. Unfortunately, the head will not rotate left and right. That is the biggest downfall of this figure. I love it. I absolutely love it. But that is a very big downfall. I don't really know how they would have done the head rotation. I'm not sure how they can get it to work. Like I said, I'm never going to pretend to know anything about designing. I mean, the up and down motion on that is very fluid and it looks very natural indeed. And we do have the ability to open his jaw, much the same as Snarl. We do have a small tab piece in there, so one would assume that we're going to get like a gun or something, like those little laser pieces to fit inside there. It makes sense to have that. He just looks so good. I mean, just look Look at the eye. I'm gushing on. But hey, I can. It's a very good figure, and it definitely deserves a very huge pat on the back. They've done a splendid job. Again, with Snarl, the head kind of moves up and down. We do have that jaw, and again, the piercing blue eye. The legs can go forwards and backwards. We do have the bend at the knee, and again at the bottom of the paw, and again these are swivel both outwards and upwards. We have that bend there, and we have a lower bend, and again we have a bend at the foot. The tail, however, is a static swooshy piece, and these are very, very sharp. Unfortunately, we do get the different tones of yellow. This piece here is a harder plastic. I think this piece here was yellow plastic and then sprayed up, and these fins here are again slightly different tone. I assume that would be grey plastic sprayed up. It possibly will be fixed for resale. One would like to think so, but I cannot guarantee that, unfortunately. Again, here we have them for scale. I really do need those other 3 Dinobots. DX9 have outdone themselves. I love the fact that figures like these, and their Power Glide as well, and they're doing the Omega Supreme, they've now said to kind of like fans toys, okay, you're doing that, we can do that as well, we're just as good. DX9 never had that G1 animation accuracy. They always did kind of their own thing, and now, especially with their Power Glide, I mean, that figure looks absolutely stunning, and it looks spot on. I got him on pre-order, and I cannot wait to get him. Their Omega Supreme, again, it's going to be a pretty close call as to which I'm going to prefer, either that or the Fans Toys version. You know, they both look very good in their own rights, and these figures, they really have come on leaps and bounds in recent years. I mean, they're doing the Seekers. I mean, this must be a hint at Computron. They're doing their Bruticus. They are absolutely nailing them. And if you collect the Legends size figures, which I highly advise you to do because they are a huge space saver, then you won't be disappointed. These are phenomenal figures and great value for money. And finally, for those of you that love the DX9 figures, here they are alongside their version of Soundwave. I'm going to review him very soon. Honestly, he is gorgeous. Now, I really liked the Mech Planet, I believe it was, that done the Soundwave and the Sound Blaster. It was good, but this one, he's better. Anyway, thank you all for taking time out of your very busy lives to watch my content. If you haven't already done so, please feel free to subscribe. If you'd like to support the channel in some way, then feel free to buy me a coffee by clicking the coffee link below. And until next time, from myself, Grimlock, Snarl and Soundwave, thanks for watching. Goodbye.